Hello students, welcome to today's English class. In today's session, I'll explain you the third chapter of your textbook. The chapter is entitled Ishwaran the Storyteller. Students, this is the story of a wonderful storyteller. As you know, storytelling is an art. There are some people who recount the story and we just start dozing off. We feel bored. We don't like the uh, person's way of telling the story. But sometimes there are some people who are the masters of telling the story. They are expert at the art of storytelling. They not only tell the story merely by explaining the incidents as they happened, if it is a real story, or they just imagine the story, but they bring in an element of interest. They bring in an element of mesmerization by enacting the things. By they just come out with voice modulation. They make gestures of the characters in the story. They start jumping in between the telling of the story. They bring all kind of histrionics. They are the masters at the art that is called drama. So this is the story of one such extremely wonderful, the great master of the art of storytelling, named Ishwaran. This makes an interesting reading, my dear students. We'll get to know various nuances of an interesting storytelling. Fine, we'll have so much fun while reading this story. So let's start without wasting further time and just relish the beauty the language offers to us. This particular story offers to us. Fine. Here, let me zoom in. The story was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mahendra by name. So the story was narrated to Ganesh. Ganesh is a person. It was narrated by Mahendra, a young man. He was junior supervisor in a firm. Mahendra was a junior supervisor in a firm, in a company which offered on hire supervisors at various types of construction sites, factories, bridges, dams, and so on. The company he worked with, the job of the company was to offer supervisors at various construction sites, factories, bridges, dams, and so on. Supervisors are the people who supervise, who monitor the construction job or any other job taking place. Mahendra's job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. So this was Mahendra's job. His job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. He had to keep moving from place to place every now and then. So his job demanded him to travel from one place to the other every now and this means frequently, as ordered by his head office. Sometimes he had to go from to a coal mining site to observe the activities of coal mining. Coal mining means extracting coal from a mine. Sometimes he had to go to a railway bridge construction site. From there, after a few months, to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere. So his job was quite demanding in nature. He had to travel a lot, so he had to rent places at various destinations. He had to travel. He didn't have a permanent place to live in, so he was a traveler in a way. He was a bachelor, so being a bachelor, it was not difficult for his to move from one place to the other. His needs were simple and he was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions. He was a fellow who didn't mind the difficulties. He was able to adjust himself to all kind of difficult condition, whether it was an ill equipped circuit house. Ill equipped means that a place that is not equipped with the facilities, basic facilities. Even circuit house is a kind of guest house meant for the employees. So sometimes he had to live in a circuit house that was ill equipped, that was not equipped with the facilities, but he didn't mind that. Or sometimes he had to live in a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. When he was sent to supervise the work at a stone quarry, quarry means mine, it's a place where stone is dug out from. Fine. So there he had to live in a canvas tent, a temporary, makeshift means temporary tent made of a thick piece of cloth that is called canvas. But one asset he had was his cook. But he had one precious asset with him, who was his cook. Ishwaran. Ishwaran was the name of his cook. Ishwaran is the protagonist of the story, rather. Though Mahendra also plays an important part in the story, but the entire story revolves around Ishwaran's art of storytelling, and Ishwaran was cook of this supervisor Mahendra. The cook was quite attached to Mahendra and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. So the cook always remained with him like a shadow wherever he was posted. Ishwaran followed him. He cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes, and chatted away with his master at night. He spent a lot of quality time with him. He could weave out endless stories. The expertise of Ishwaran was that he could weave out, he could create, he could compose endless stories and anecdotes on various subjects. Anecdotes, students, an anecdote is a short story about a real life incident or a real person. So that is an anecdote. Ishwaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients seemingly out of nowhere in the middle of a desolate landscape with no shops visible for miles around. The other quality of Ishwaran was that he was quite resourceful. He had an amazing capacity, he had a surprising capacity that he could arrange vegetables and cooking ingredients, spices, etc., seemingly out of nowhere. It seemed that nobody could find out that where could he bring this in the middle of a desolate landscape. When they were living in a desolate landscape, an area that is desolate means abandoned, deserted, where there are no many people living, with no shops visible for miles around. When there were no shops visible for miles around, it was completely an empty area. Even out of that area, he could bring all the ingredients required for cooking, all the vegetables. He was such a resourceful person. He would miraculously, and it was a miracle, it was nothing short of a miracle, that he would conjure up means gather up, collect, as if it was a magic. Conjure is a word that is used in the magic word. So he would conjure up, he would gather, he would collect magically the most delicious dishes made with fresh vegetables within an hour of arriving at the zinc sheet shelter at the new workplace. So, zinc sheet shelter here refers to the temporary shelter. It's a temporary shelter that is made of the roof of which is made of the metal zinc. Fine. So, under which the construction work or some other work was in progress, and he was expert at doing these things. Fine. Miraculously he could prepare the most delicious dishes that could be made with the fresh vegetables within an hour. It took him an hour. So it was quite fortunate to have a cook like Ishwaran by your side. He just made the life a piece of cake. It was quite comfortable having Ishwaran as a cook. He was quite resourceful. Fine. There was no any moment when there was scarcity of something. Whatever was required, he could produce. Such people are called resourceful. Mahendra would be up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast. So this was Mahendra's schedule, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Ishwaran would tidy up the shed, the temporary place they lived in. He would tidy up, he would clean, wash the clothes, and have a leisurely bath. He enjoyed taking a bath, and he was not in a hurry while taking a bath. He enjoyed it at a leisurely pace. If you do something leisurely, it means you enjoy it and you delay it as if there is no hurry. Pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while, and while bathing he used to mutter a prayer as well. He used to softly speak a prayer as well. It means he used to completely relish this act of bathing. Even it would be lunch time by then. So after these domestic chores were over, it would be lunch time by them. After eating, he would read for a while. He was fond of reading as well, before dozing off, before taking a nap. Dozing off means before going to sleep. uh, to take a nap in afternoon, it is a nap rather. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. Fine. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller. He was fond of reading some popular, well-known Tamil thriller. Thriller is a story comprising an element of excitement, thrill, and adventure running to hundreds of pages, and it used to be a thick book. Its imaginative descriptions, the descriptions of the book, which were filled with imagination and narrative, the way the book told the story, flourishes, would hold Ishwaran in thrall. So this the interesting narrative of the book that he used to read, and the imaginative descriptions, flourishing means that were filled in the book, that the book abounded in, would hold Ishwaran in thrall. So this entire beauty of the book would hold Ishwaran in thrall means captivation. He used to get fascinated. He used to get mesmerized, and he felt a strange kind of attraction towards the beautiful narration and imaginative description of the Tamil thriller he was reading. So he was fond of he was an avid reader, such reader who like reading in between the lines, who just enjoy the beauty of the literature, are called avid readers. So he was an avid reader, we can say. He liked the descriptions, interesting descriptions and the narrative style, and it would left him in mesmerization. He would get lost in the beauty of the book. He would get lost in the thrills offered by the book. Enthrall means in captivation, and when you are in captivation, you get lost to the other word. Fine. His own description were greatly influenced by a Tamil author that he read. Since he himself was a beautiful storyteller, he himself was a wonderful storyteller, so whatever he described in his own stories, that art was greatly affected, was greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. As they say, whatever you read, you become like that. So he had imbibed the spirits of the books he read, and he became an interesting storyteller like the Tamil writer he used to read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense and surprise ending into the account. Even while narrating an ordinary event, even while narrating a simplest of the situation, he would bring in the element of suspense and a surprise ending into the account. Ending into means bringing at the end of the description, surprise ending. The word should be read as surprise ending, and he would bring a surprise ending into the description, so that the listeners to his stories are left, always guessing about the next course of action, and they remain throughout, they remain interested into the story. And he just concluded the story, he culminated the story with a surprise ending. For example, there is an example of his wonderful art of storytelling is being shared. Instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say, suppose he had to say that he was traveling on highway and he saw an uprooted tree, the tree that had been rooted out from its roots. Fine. From the ground. So he used to say, he would say, with eyebrows suitably arched, he would arch his eyebrows. He would curve his eyebrows in a particular gesture, and hands held out in a dramatic gesture. He would just spread his hands like a professional actor, that looked like a dramatic gesture. Gesture means a movement made with hand or head. And how would he describe that scene of the uprooted tree on the highway? The road was deserted. There was no one on the road, and I was all alone. Suddenly, I spotted something that looked like an enormous, big, bushy beast lying sprawled. Sprawled means spread across the road. I was half inclined to turn. First, I thought to take a turn. I half inclined means I somewhat wanted to turn back and go back. But as I came closer, I saw that it was not a bushy beast, it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. So he was master of storytelling. This was an ordinary scene that there was a tree uprooted. But into this ordinary thing, he used to bring a sense of excitement and, a sense of a fascination, so that the listeners remain captivated, they get thrill, they get excitement. Mahendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair while reading to the interesting descriptions of the Ishwaran the storyteller. Mahendra would stretch himself, he would sit relaxed in his canvas chair, canvas I have explained, and listen to Ishwaran's tales uncritically. He was so fond of listening to Ishwaran narrating the stories that he didn't get into any kind of criticism. He would listen to his stories uncritically, means without being judgmental. He didn't judge whether it could be true or not, that he is just bragging about, he is beating about the bush. No, he loved listening to him, and there was no the role of critic he played at that moment. Fine students, so we have started new chapter today. I'll be teaching you up to this point. We'll be further exploring the ins and outs of these stories and learning so many good things. I would advise you to mark all the new words that you learn while a chapter is being explained. Note them down in your fair notebook and make them an active part of your vocabulary, so that you become a good communicator. The purpose of learning language is not to just merely be able to answer to the questions asked in examinations. It has a very broad purpose. It is to learn life, it is to become a good communicator, it is to become a fluent speaker. So you need to speak out the words you learn, you need to compose certain things including these words, so that they become yours. And once you have an active sound vocabulary, the sky is the limit for you. Nobody can stop you in this world of language. You can become, a fluent communicator, a confident speaker. It gives you confidence as well. So my piece of advice to you is, read this part of the story again in between the lines, ponder on each and every word from every aspect. You must be a critic while reading. Like Mahindra used to listen to Ishwaran uncritically, but you should read your piece of literature critically, pondering over the words, pondering over the meanings of the words and the style of the language, everything you need to learn. So this would be my piece of advice. Thank you very much, students, for being there. The homework is to just read the chapter in between the lines, underline the difficult expressions, and write those difficult expressions along with their meanings in your notebooks. Thank you very much. Take a good care.